Okay, firstly, I wanted to thank you for joining me in this presentation. And yeah, I'm going to get straight into it. And so this is the zigzag journey of an entrepreneur. Okay. And, by myself, Osman Ahmed. I call it zigzag journey because no entrepreneur's journey is ever simple and straight. It's never a straight line. And it generally never is as you plan it to be. We plan it that, okay, I'm going to go from here in 6 months, I want to have 3 restaurants. From now till the end of the year, I want to have 10, for example. You make these plans, and the plans are really, really good. The plans do happen, they just don't happen in the timeline that you expect. So if you imagine a zigzag, the zigzag is going forward. Okay, imagine it's going forward, but it doesn't just go forward in a straight line. It goes up, down, up, down, up, down. But overall, the journey is going forward. So that's how it is. It goes in one direction, but it goes left, right, and it's going forward. That's why I call it a zigzag. Okay, and the more you know that, the better, because then you're not going to be confused that, oh my god, my life is going here, I'm going there, I'm going here, what am I actually doing? You have ups and downs on the journey. It's emotional journey as well, but it's a wonderful journey too. It develops you as a person, and it's a great journey to go on, and it's more rewarding than being in the same thing every single day for 5 days a week, however many years. It's much more enjoyable. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is where I am now, mid 2022. Where I was 10 and 6 years ago. There were two milestones in my life, and the 4 years in between was a wonderful 4 year period. So from 10 years ago, which was 2012 to 2016, those 4 year period, it was a wonderful period. And then I changed it again. So the question will be why I changed it. And it was due to the 4 types of freedom. So we'll talk about that. And then one of my first businesses, business to business introduction and networking. That's one of the first things I did in that 2016, 17. Then 17, 18, Golden Touch Academy, which you see the logo at the bottom left. Then GM Let's, which is the rent-to-rent HMO company, which, I have, and it's fully systemized. And I have 2 people working in it. Then Equilibrium Academy in 2020 during the lockdown. So this was born during the lockdown, which is a very powerful thing in itself, that when most people out there are struggling with money, I'm opening up a business, and that business did better than the property businesses, in lockdown. So there's huge learnings to be done from there. This session is not just about me. When you're watching this, I don't want you to just be thinking about me. I want you to be applying the lessons to your life. That's what I want you to do. There's no benefit in just knowing about me other than taking inspiration. When I look at my mentors, my coaches, people who are like ahead of me in anything, I take inspiration from them. That, wow, if he can do it, if she can do it, I can do it. That I take inspiration. It gives me motivation and energy to do it too. Okay. So one thing you definitely don't want to happen is jealousy or spite. Oh, why did he have that? Why do I have that? That's the wrong reaction. You don't want to react like that. Take inspiration instead. It's much more beneficial. Then 2022, it was the zero to profits with Rent to Rent HMO, which is basically my rent to rent company, the teaching of that, the program. And yeah, so I end up with 2 high ticket programs. Okay, wonderful. So that's where I am now. Where I am now in June. So this is still continued. So this is where I am now. Okay, that was just mentioning the timeline. Now where I am, I've got 4 businesses, potentially 5, but 4 businesses. One business partner, which is Tanim in Golden Touch Academy, but I've got 6 shareholders, and they're all silent. Some of them I get to speak to on a regular basis. One of my best friends is one of my main shareholders, my first shareholder. I speak to him almost every single day. I've got 2 staff on a profit share basis, and I've got 1 virtual assistant who does a lot of the repetitive tasks for me. And I've spent about £65,000 on personal, business, and property education. So personal is all just developing me. Business is business in general. Property is property specific knowledge. Okay. I should put their marketing knowledge as well. Yeah. Because marketing is more than just business. It's very specialized knowledge as well, just like property specialized. Okay, passive income of more than £6,000 per calendar month from my rent to rents. And so that's £6,000. I take from there however much I want. And at the moment, my target is just to take £3,000 a month because that's enough for me to live off. But this particular year that I'm in right now, I actually have to take out £6,000 because I need to take a £60,000 income in order to, get a mortgage, and it's a halal mortgage of, a £300,000 house. So yeah, I have to take £6,000 a month, which is nice. Not everyone gets to say that. I have two high ticket offers. One is all to do with work life balance and helping entrepreneurs, and family people with their work life balance and balancing their growing their business beyond six figures whilst living a 80-20 life hacks, whilst having a perfect life balance. So that's one, which I'm not going to go into in too much detail. The second one is the rent to rent high ticket offer, which you'll likely be aware of. And that's all about doing what I already do with the property side and then systemizing it so that you have your life back. Okay. So these two go very hand in hand. Imagine setting up a business and making it like the six-figure type business. Six figures is £8,000 profit a month. Times that by 12, you're close to 100,000. So that's six figures, but it's got to be systemized. If it's not systemized, then you're working for it. And a business is where you don't have to work for it anymore. And the work-life balance one is to give you the life that you want to live, the life that you deserve to live, the life that we all should be able to have, perfect work-life balance. I had a 30K month last year in 2021, and now I'm working on regular 10 to 30K months. So that's where I am right now, working on, that's not £10, that's 10K to 30K months. I've sold £62,000 worth of shares between three companies in these 6 years. And the wonderful thing about selling shares is it goes to you personally, and the tax on it is very, very small, like so small. So that's great. And the first time I did that, it paid off my debts. I sold 8% for £8,000 and I was debt free instantly. And it's so much better to have, to be focused on, rather than to be focused on debt, that's negative energy. Focus on, I want to make this business successful. And it was my rent to rent business. I want to make this business successful for my 92% shares and my 8% share of my investor, for example. So focusing on making their business successful is far more positive than focusing on, I've got debt to pay, I've got debt to pay, I've got debt to pay. So, and that was just by selling shares. Okay. I work less than 30 hours a week. I generally find it hard to work more than 8 hours a day. I just don't do that. But you can only really do something like that when you have the types of freedom I will talk about. Happily married with a wife and two children, age 7 and 3. And yeah, so that's that. I'm not going to go into the personal side of life too much in this presentation. It's more going to be focused on property specific. And I still get to do my charity work, spiritual retreats, and continual development, which I love. But it wasn't always like that. Okay, so where was I 10 years ago? And some of you watching might relate to this. You might relate to what's ahead. We'll see. But I was a full-time high school science teacher. Okay, I was 24 years old. I did a physics degree. I actually worked for 2 years in non-degree related jobs, call centers, and I was quite unhappy in a job that wasn't degree related, especially physics degree. I mean, it's probably one of the hardest degrees out there. The third year became like a different language, and I was making, as a teacher, science teacher, I was making £1,400 a month after tax, and money in, money out. Every single month I had no money left. So if I was lucky, if I had £50, and I thought, oh, this is not good. But I was like, yes, I'm just married, so yay, big achievement. But now I need more money, to sustain this life, because I moved out of my mum's house and I was independent, living on my own with my wife, just married, and money in, money out was not a good place to be. And I knew that I need to do something different. And what that different thing was not I should get a promotion. That wasn't in my head at all, because promotion would take years and years and years. And I was interested in 1 year making a huge change. not years and years and years. I was interested in change right now. Okay. I had no savings and I didn't have anyone to lend me money as such, or I didn't even know what to do with the money, never mind having the savings. So there was nothing to fall back on. I was working 7 days a week, evenings included. Why? I was planning and marking every single day. Yeah, planning and marking as a teacher every evening, bringing books home, planning every Saturday and every Sunday, just planning. And I couldn't get the whole week planned unless I used the evenings as well. It was tiring, and yeah, I never got enough sleep. That's why I was, because I was sleep deprived. Probably working till 10 p.m. most days. I was always thinking about the future, and that was really bad for my mental health, and for anyone's mental health. If you're always in the thought of the future, 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 it's very bad for your mental health. You can't relax and enjoy. And before that, I used to live in the present. And now I still live in the present. I'm focused on where I am, what I'm doing. I'm not thinking about the future all the time. Okay. But that year, it was continuous. And that's why I knew I had to leave this. I had no time for my charity work and I felt really unfulfilled. And I was doing charity work from the age of 17 till that year 24, so 7 years, and I loved it. It was a big part of my life, um, whilst doing my studies and so on. And when teaching came along, I couldn't do it. I felt really quite upset, that this isn't the life I want. So one day I just said to myself, I can't do this till I'm 65. And I said this as the children left the room and the next set of children came in. And I remember the moment. I still remember that moment. They left, naughty children left for one class, and just came in, and I said that. And that was the moment I decided I'm not doing this till I'm 65. And it was September. It was the beginning of that year. So I took a leap of faith and I made a change. I decided I'm only doing this year, and after that I'm leaving. So I decided I'm still going to search for other things, even while I'm teaching. So I'm going to fast track now, 4 years later. What happened in those 4 years? Okay, because 4 years later, I had the solopreneur life. Solopreneur just means self-employed. I'm my own entrepreneur. I don't hire anyone. I work for myself. Okay, I was 28 and I was doing supply teaching 2 to 3 days a week, and in schools that I absolutely loved. I loved going to them. They wanted me, I wanted them. I didn't need to go to schools where I, really disliked. It was wonderful, and it was the best office in the world because I could actually do my own work on my laptop, or on the school computer, like organizing my emails, responding to emails, planning, use my notebook and plan and do all sorts. Because I was a solopreneur. And then the kids would just get on with their work. And every 10 minutes, I'd walk around, make sure they're all okay and they were fine. I'd carry on with my thing because I couldn't just sit there do nothing. So, and I was a very strict supply teacher, still am. So I did private tuition. 15 hours a week was part-time work with a full-time income. And so that on its own, I was charging about £25 an hour around that time. To be honest, sometimes it was 30 even back then. So, and the reason was I almost always had more than two students. So 30 times 15 is £450. Yeah. So 450, it's £1,800 a month, from private tuition. And it was great. So I had one business. So you can see just from the private tuition, I was making more than I was making with, teaching. But that was before tax. That 1,800 that I just mentioned, that's before tax. I've got to pay tax on it. Okay, I had one business, which was a tuition agency, and it was a passive income of £400 a month. One lesson to learn from here is that I wouldn't have got that business education, that business tuition agency, if it wasn't for one of my mentors. It was a government agency called Blue Orchid, and it was free of charge within my area, and it was worth I had one-to-one for a whole 6 months with one of my business mentors, and it was amazing. If she didn't say to me, Usman, you can do a tuition agency because you're overbooked, then I wouldn't have had the idea. So that just shows sometimes your business ideas will not come from you, they'll come from someone else. And it tells you always seek out mentors. And I sought out free mentorship. So the first thing to do is seek out all the freebies. Get as much free stuff. Like if you're joining this today, if you're watching this today and I've sent it to you free, get all the freebies you can. I did all the free courses I could with the property related stuff, with government related things. Probably not all of them, but as much as I could. And I had the time. That was the thing, I had the time. I was also teaching first aid, which was £300 a day, but it required me to do all the marketing, and I had to pay for my course to learn it, to travel, pay hotels, all that side of thing. And then I had to get the students and do the paperwork. So yeah, £300 a day, but there was paperwork after it, which could take half a day, and then the marketing. So you could really say it's not £300 a day because of the work that goes in before and after. Okay. And I was doing one-to-one life coaching on time management and a whole bunch of other things on request. It wasn't me marketing. It was, I just did a speech and a presentation here and there, and people who watched it liked it so much, and they said, can you mentor us? Can you teach us? And I said, yeah. And some of my students, they became students for years, and I loved coaching them. They really enjoyed it. And some of them still get coached now at a higher level. And as long as they don't cancel it, I don't cancel it. I said that to them. Okay, plenty of time for research. I was researching 50 different online businesses once upon a time. I had an Excel sheet with 50, and they were all online based because I was searching for stuff in the online world. You know, I was doing physical teaching, supply. I was doing private tuition, a tuition agency, first aid, and I wanted something online where I could make money. And I had made money. I actually made money during the teaching year. And that was one reason why I was able to leave a little bit easier. But that thing, I went to Canada for it, all the way to Canada. And I said to the head teacher, I looked him in the eye and said, I need to take Friday and Monday off this week. And he could see how determined I was to go. I told him I need to go to Canada. And I didn't tell him that it was business related. I was going with a group of people. But I went, and that started me off in the business world because I saw what was capable. Okay. The message I'd give from there is businesses that are in your control are far, far better than the businesses that are a small portion. If your business is a small mini part of someone else's big business, then you're in trouble, because when their business goes, yours goes. But if your business is in your control, like my tuition agency was, then no one can destroy it but you, you know? Okay, so I was making around the £2,000 a month after tax. So this is after tax because, you know, the tuition agency had to put money aside for tax. Same with supply teaching, same with first aid. So after tax, it was around the £2,000. I did have credit card debt, but some money in and money out was still there, because remember, I had got married. So we went on a few holidays, we did this, we did that, had to buy this, had to buy that, and I didn't have savings. So I ended up having some debt on credit card, and money in, money out still, because I'm increasing my income, but my expense had been higher too. So that's why I still had this drive. I need to still do something better, something different. And I was still working less than 30 to 35 hours a week, but I was really enjoying my life, meaning that every single thing I was doing, I was enjoying, and I had the time to research. I was researching for better things still. So yeah, I loved life. I was very happy, just needed more money to give me a bit more freedom. So the next thing is that why did I have a life that I loved? So I want you to think about this. Why did I have a life that I loved, even though I didn't have enough money? Because there might be people out there who do have a life they love, and yeah, money might be the only thing they need to increase. But then there are people out there who don't have a life that they love and they have enough money. And so this answers both questions really. So let's have a look. The answer is related to the 3 types of freedom. The first one is geographical freedom. And I want you to think, what is the definition of that? Okay. So work from something you want. What is the missing word? The second type of freedom, I want you to try and pause this video and see if you can think what could be the other 2 types of freedom. Financial freedom, we're coming to. That's the 4th one. We're not going to talk about that right now. Okay, I'm going to tell you. Time freedom. Okay, time freedom, work from something you want. I'm going to tell you, I want you to think about those missing words. The last one is choice freedom. Work doing something you want. So all the words, they start with W. So let's go through geographical freedom. Work from wherever you want. Okay, what does that mean? It means that I can work from home. Before the world of the lockdown, I was able to work from home. So I had that before. And when everyone started working from home, they thought, oh, how nice this is working from home. I was like, Yeah, I already knew. But working from home has its challenges. So if you want, you could work from the co-working space. You could work from a coffee shop. You could work from um, whilst traveling. You could work from abroad. You could work on the plane and in public transport and in the Uber. I work from anywhere I want to, wherever I want, and you can too. It really is possible, especially in the day and age we live in. So, time freedom is work whenever you want. You still have to work. Same with geographical freedom. You still have to work. Time freedom, you still have to work. When I was having my second baby, I was able to work throughout the night and watch him so my wife could get a good sleep. And that was time freedom because I could work during the night and then sleep around 4 a.m. Put him to sleep, then give him his milk nappy. He'd go for a long sleep, I'd go for a long sleep, and then she'd take over in the morning. So something time freedom is where you still work, but you work on your time, on your timetable, not on someone else's. And choice freedom is work doing whatever you want. So look, I had choice freedom. I was doing first aid, private tuition, tuition supply teaching. I could say yes, no to supply teaching. I could say yes, no to the tuitions. I could say yes, no to first aid. I could say yes, no to all of them. So if we go back, you'll see all these that I was doing here, um, that I had choice, and because I had the choice freedom, I was very happy because I was choosing all the things I loved and enjoyed, the schools I enjoyed working with. I still would love to go back to those schools now. There's one particular one, just it was such a nice place to be. Kids were like angels. Yeah. The time freedom, I could work on my schedule. So those private tuitions, there were evenings and weekends. But at the age of 28, my son was only 1 year old, and at that age, he wouldn't realize. But I knew something has to change in the future because when they're 7, 6, 7, 8, then they do mind you working evenings and weekends because that's the only time you'll see them. But at that time, it was fine. I could work those times. Same with the tuition agency, that was in my own time. Uh, all of them, I had the geographical freedom, not a 10 out of 10, but I had it. The supply teaching, for example, I could go to schools within an area or a distance that I was happy with, 5 miles maybe, 5, 7 miles max. I wouldn't go further than that. Private tuition, so again, only within the towns next to me. And so I had a higher level of all three of these, and therefore I was very, very, very happy. So what I want you to do here is I want you to stop and pause, and I want you to think about what level of freedom, geographical time and choice, do you have in your life right now? Whatever you're doing, work-wise, what level of freedom do you have? Give it a rating out of 10. 0 is absolutely none, nothing. 10 is 100% every part of that freedom. And rate it out of 10. See where you are, okay? And then ask yourself, well, where do I want to be? Because if you want to have a better lifestyle and more freedom, you don't have to go to financial freedom straight away. Financial freedom gives you all three of these, but that's not the normal path. The normal path is to increase these three first. And that's what I did. That is exactly what I did. So let me show you what I mean by rate them. If you look here, we've got a full-time office job on the left, income stream. Then we've got one-to-one private tutor, business advisor, builder, and so on. Social media manager, photographer, tour guide, writer, blogger, web designer, e-commerce. E-commerce is just selling stock online, and YouTube, your interest. Then you've got geographical freedom, rating it out of 10. 10 is like the highest of the high. You can't get more. Time freedom, rating it. Choice freedom, rating it. So the activity is this: rate the level of freedom out of 10 for each income stream and each type of freedom. So I've got two examples here. If you're in a full-time office job, you have to go to the same place every single day. You can't go anywhere else, and you can't work from home. Of course, if it's a work from home one, the freedom is a bit higher. But let's say that it's the olden days where you have to go to the office, you can't work from home. Then your geographical freedom is really low because you don't have much freedom. Maybe you can walk around the office. That's about it. Okay, the time freedom, you work 9 to 5, 8 to 4, so your time is fixed. If you want time off, you have to book it off and you need to ask permission. So you don't really have much time freedom. Okay, choice freedom, you only have one income stream. You don't have any other income streams. So your choice freedom for income is also very limited. So then what we have here is the freedom index. And what you do is you add these three up and you divide it by 3, and of course in that case it comes back to 1, and that gives you an overall view of what kind of freedom you have overall. Okay, because some of them will be different, like this one, one-to-one private tutor. In my case, my geographical freedom was a bit higher. It was a 3. Why did I give it a 3? Well, I still had to go to these locations. So I was location bound. I had to go to these houses one after another. But what I could do was I grouped all the houses together, which were next to each other. So I'd go to that one, then the neighbor, then the neighbor, the ones that were close together. So let's say the ones in my town I did on one day, and the ones in the next door town I did together, for example. So there was some element of geographical freedom. And time freedom, I could set the time with them. If I couldn't do that time and didn't want to do that day or time, I'd say no. But I could set the time with them and make sure that there's enough time to get from one to another. And also, I could cancel them, and just like they could cancel it with me, I could cancel it with them. So we both give each other the flexibility to cancel if we wanted to. If I wanted to go on a holiday, I just cancel all my tuitions for the week. That was it. Choice freedom. I could say yes and no to every single tuition. If they treated me badly and so on, I'd say I'm sorry, it's not going to continue. But if I liked them, which I did, then it would continue. And I liked them a lot. You know why? On the Saturdays, I used to do 5 tuitions. First one used to give me breakfast. Second one used to give me tea. Third one used to give me lunch. Fourth one used to give me tea. And the fifth one used to give me snacks, something like this. So I think sometimes I did 4 tuitions because I just couldn't eat anymore. When I came home, I used to say to my wife that I can't eat a single thing. I've been eating all day. So that's how the tuitions were at times. It was wonderful. So you can see why I enjoyed it. Now, if you want, you can see there's all the other numbers. What I would want you to do, I would want you to pause this here and have a go at filling that table in for all of those other ones. And I want you to do this for your own one, for your own job or business that you're doing. Do this for rent to rent as well. Like once rent to rent's passive, what numbers do these become? Yeah. So do this for you, for the job you're doing, and do this for all of them. And then have a look at these numbers. These are just my opinion on these numbers, and you will have your own. But the more, if you do this activity of filling in these numbers, it will really give you a deeper understanding of geographical time and choice freedom. Just listening to this will give you like 50%, but that other 50% understanding is going to come when you do that activity. Because everyone I've done it with in the past, when they did this, they understood it a lot more. Okay, and you can see some things have 9 out of 9. Like the bottom 3 or bottom 4, yeah, bottom 3, I gave them 9s. Okay, so what was I still searching for? That's the question. If I had such a life that I was so happy with because I had time freedom, geographical freedom, and choice freedom, what was I still searching for? Well, I've already said it. It was number 4. It was financial freedom. And what I find is many property related, entrepreneur and business presenters, they always talk about this one, but they never talk about the 3 that we just talked about. And the truth is, if you get this one, you have all 3 of the previous ones. However, getting this one without the others is a little bit less realistic, it's a little bit less you could say that there's 2 paths. You could go down, if you're working full-time and you want to create the passive income, it's possible, but it's more realistic to be able to do this. Yeah. So for example, if you are in a job right now, you could simply increase your one-to-one time, meaning your income stream, your side income, by doing what you already do, but doing it for yourself. So let's say you're an engineer and you work for a company. Open up your own engineering company and then get contracts yourself and say, I am a engineer, I'm a subcontractor, and this is my company. And all the work that you were doing for those other companies, you can now do for your own company. And those your employers, meaning the people who give you the contract, they will pay you now. And just don't go and steal the clients from your employer. Of course, not saying that, but go and market yourself, and then you'll get the contracts yourself and you'll do the work. And if there's anything you can't do, you just hire someone to do that. And that's exactly how you start a business. So do you see then that's what I did? I did supply teaching, private tuition. I was doing things where my hourly rate was higher than where it was in teaching. In teaching, it might have been in the £20 an hour range. So with private tuition, it was the £30. And with first aid, we're looking at, you know, £300 a day, but taking including marketing and so on, it's more like, I don't know, £40 an hour, something like this. Okay, and by the way, some of those tuitions I used to get paid £45 an hour just because there was 3 to 4 students. So however you can maximize your hour by doing more in the same amount of time, the better your hourly rate becomes. Okay, so I was still searching for passive income. Level 1 financial freedom is passive income to cover all your necessary expenses. That's what level 1 is about. You don't have to work at that point. You're completely free from work because your income comes in, meets your expense. It's not incredibly stable, you know, in the sense that, okay, you won't have any money left over, but it's enough. It covers your expense. Okay. Number 2 is enough passive income to cover your basic desired lifestyle. So your desired lifestyle, you know, if I said to you, what's your desired lifestyle? You might say, I want to go on holiday all around the world. I want to do this and do that. I want 10 cars. I want, I don't know, all sorts of desire. Your desires doesn't end. If you know the truth of it, your desire can know no limits. Okay, that's why I say basic desire. Basic desires, if you're in a full-time job, and what's your basic desire in terms of a lifestyle? Well, basic desire might be holiday twice a year, own my own house, you know, or at least have a mortgage, you know, that I can pay it off. It might be be able to take my kids out every day, once a week, everywhere, and go out and eat with my partner without having to think about the cost. You know, it's not going to be like £100 for a meal, but, you know, £20-30 every time you go out, and it adds up. So you want to have a basic desired lifestyle. You want to be able to buy things for yourself and for others that you can enjoy. Maybe have a play account that you can enjoy for yourself, £200 a month, for example. Whoever, whatever. Basic desired lifestyle. It's not, we're saying like in the region of £600 to £1,000 worth of disposable income every month. So £1,000 every month that you can spend freely, you know, something like that. Then level 3, having enough passive income to do whatever you want, which is level 10 choice freedom. To do whatever you want, whenever you want, which is level 10 choice freedom. And then finally, to do whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want, which is level 10 geographical freedom. So when you get to level 3, and I'm not there yet, I'm on that journey, okay? To have all 3 at level 10, whatever I want, whenever I want, wherever I want, that is a very high level of living, you know, having enough passive income to do all that. And this is why I still talk about a perfect work-life balance. Why? Because there are people who have that and they're still not happy, honestly. So that's because they don't know how to live a balanced life. Living a balanced life these days is a skill in itself, and it really is. And there are people who have these and still don't have a balanced life. And you can have level 2, basic desired lifestyle, and have a wonderful balanced life because you're doing both. And this one is still growing, okay? So I hope that makes sense, the 3 types of level of financial freedom. So that brings us to really an end for this session. Maybe what I will do is in our next session, I'll go through some of my some of the things, the companies that I opened that you can see here. There's one before this which I've closed down. Then there's Golden Touch. Then there's GMLets. Then Equilibrium and Zero to Be with Rent to Rent. So what I will do now is open the floor for any questions from anyone that may have any. So Zain and Adam, if you're there, if you do have any questions that you'd like to ask about any of this?
Yeah, sorry, mate.
No
I've got a bit of
questions.
a bad connection issue.
That's fine. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
No, I think you've covered most of what I'm looking for, to be honest. That's
wonderful. So does it all make sense, like in terms of the natural path of, you know, entrepreneurship? Because this is actually the normal, the path which is doable. What I've shown here, this is a path which is doable. So you start off in a job where, you know, just like I did. Look, I started off in a job 10 years ago. That was my case. I was not happy. 4 years later, I was happy in everything I was doing because I had geographical time and choice freedom. But then I still had enough time to, because I had time freedom, I had enough time to research and research. That's where I spent thousands of pounds on property courses. You know, I've spent what, £63,000 now. But that's not just property, that's all these other ones, because I'm in more than just property. And then comes the 3 types of freedom. That's the reason I was happy. And if you take a big lesson from that, that will be that you just need to increase these 3 in order for you to have freedom. And once you've got them, then you can go and do passive income. But the honest truth is, you could do passive income, and if you do it and you do it right, then you'll get all those other 3 automatically as a result. Why did I do this? I didn't know about rent to rent. Yeah, when I was doing you know, all of these things, supply teaching, private tuition, I hadn't come across property until 2016, 17. Yeah, 2016 August. That's when I came across the property courses. But by that time, I was already doing this. You've come across property, meaning without having to go through this, you've come across it. Without having maybe geographical time and choice freedom, you've come across it. So now you can actually get that passive income and get all 4 in one go. Yeah, so any questions then? Zain, did you have anything you wanted to ask?
No questions. Just thank you for doing it so succinctly. It all makes sense.
That's great. Well, what lessons did you take from it then?
I need more freedom.
You need more freedom.
Yeah. I'm gonna go through it and, you know, pause it and do them tasks that you set up.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I tell you what, would you like me to just go through this today, or would you like this to be like the next thing that I was going to do, go through these? Would you like me to do that next week so that you've got time to go through, basically digest this? Yeah, digest what you just did, because otherwise it might be information overload.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah. Wonderful then. I would love to hear your feedbacks and, you know, the lessons you learn and what you're going to do as a result of this. I'd love to hear that. And yeah, next week we can go through the next part and, you know, what did I actually do when I got into property and all these different 4 companies at the bottom. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to end it there. It was a pleasure as always. And yeah, thank you for your comments and for your any questions and everything. You guys have a nice week. Nice weekend.
You too. Bye.